We'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Gangster Chronicles podcast where Gangsta Rap lives. It's your boy Bigg Steele along with
Jill.
And today we have a man of many traits, and he's good at all of them motherfuckers. You know the expression, skilled at many things but mastering none? Mm-hmm. You actually master of every motherfucking thing you do. Accomplished author, director.
Yes, sir.
Social media, mogul, and just all that good shit, man.
Yes, sir.
And I f*** you because you're from the Midwest.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Mr. Tariq Nasheed.
What's happening, family? Thank y'all for having me here, first of all,
man. Thank you
I
for
appreciate
coming, man.
y'all.
It's usually we don't get people of your caliber. No offense to none of our other guests. We don't have some dope people on here, but you have done a whole lot of dope shit in your life, man.
Man, I try, man. I try.
What took you on the path that you on now, man? What put you on that path?
Man, just wanting to bring the truth to things, man. I started with relationship books. And the reason why I started with relationship books, man, there were a lot of books out at the time, late 90s, that would give real janky relationship advice. You had books like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and all that stuff. And it was real corny advice that really didn't work. So I said, let me do something. Let me put out a book with some real game in it that real dudes spit, that real cats can appreciate. And I wrote a book called The Art of Mackin'. 1999 came out in 2000, became a huge best-selling book. And that took off my author career right there. And then later on, I started to morph into documentary films because I saw there was a void. There was a lot of movies out here that showed us black folks in real negative lights. You have movies like The Help and Precious and The Blind Side, and all of these movies showed us in very subservient positions. And I said, no, we have to have a balance. We have to show the constructive side of black society. So I came up with the Hidden Colors series as an experiment. I didn't know if it was going to do good or whatever because nothing like that had been done before. We put that out, and that took off. So I like to try to experiment with different things, man, and kind of take risk and just stay true to what I'm putting out there, man. And luckily, a lot of it has been successful.
Yeah, you got a lot of different takes as far as like on race in America.
Oh, yeah.
Things have gotten better. And me originally being from the Midwest, right, one thing I noticed is people will tell you how they feel out there.
Yes, indeed.
You know, you run across a white guy out there, he go call you a nigger. You know, he's go say what he got to say to you.
You know, in the Midwest, man, that's where most of the militia groups are. The white supremacist militia groups, they're all in Ohio. They're in Michigan, where I was born. A lot of people think that stuff is in the South. The militia groups where they're training for race wars and all that, that's in the Midwest. In fact, many of the race riots that we had were actually in the Midwest. When you see footage of Dr. King getting hit with rocks and stones, that's in Illinois. You know, a lot of folks don't know that. When you see folks getting whooped on with sticks and people fighting back, that's out here. They show the Watts riot footage and people think that it's the stuff going on down south, but that racism was all over the country, man. So people kind of try to regulate it to the South. It was all over the place.
Oh, no, it was all over the place. It's like I said earlier, they'll tell you how they feel out there.
Yes, they will.
I fought many a white boy, and they go squab with you.
Yeah.
They go squabble with
They'll
you.
catch a fade with you.
You know, they go running with you.
Yeah, they'll catch a fade.
And whereas I notice out here, I almost rather would have it like it is back in Ohio and Michigan and Kentucky and all them places to where you know where somebody stands with you out here. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Right.
They're your friend, but I remember one time I had an incident to where a dude had butt dialed me by accident. We had just talked. And this is when I was working for a publishing company, actually. And I was talking to a guy that worked at Bug Music. He's no longer working there, but I was talking to a guy that worked at Bug Music, and he had said something like, "You black shit-colored bitch." And it was just like,
wow.
Who was he talking to? You know, you hear somebody on the phone, and I was like this. So I was listening, and it kind of rolled off for a minute, then I hung up. He called me back. Oh man, that was me and my friend. We joked like that. And I was just kind of like, whatever, coward. You know, go on and say what you got to say. I'm glad I know how you feel now.
Yeah, that liberal racism is real funny style. And that's the most insidious racism. So like in the Midwest, man, you mentioned earlier, many of those places are very conservative. So they just let you know what it is. They ain't gonna really play that game with you. And I can almost respect that to a certain degree. Out here, they'll sit there and act like your buddy, but they'll skin and grin in your face while they're secretly calling the cops on you. When we see a lot of these Karen videos with these white women harassing random black people, many of those are in liberal, so-called liberal cities, where they tell you that the hippie liberal white folks are better than the right-wing Republican white folks. They're the same, two wings on the same bird. We got to understand that. So systematic racism is a very real thing, and we got to understand that we as black people, we got to be more codified with each other, and that's how we protect ourselves from that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you being a guy in Compton, right? When you were in Compton, it was majority black, right?
Yeah, black and Mexican.
Black and Mexican. So you didn't have too many encounters with racism, did you?
No, other than police shit, you know, profiling. You know, you was a nigga in khakis and a Raiders hat. You know, you were automatically symbolized as a gangbanger. So you know, we got harassed a lot by the police. Didn't matter what color they was. A lot of them was black sometimes. You know, mostly. You know, you had a few whites and you know, Mexican cops patrolling, but it didn't matter what color they was. We just got harassed for being young black niggas living in the inner city because we were just looked at as, I mean, you know, gangbanging was going around.
Yeah.
Compton was full of gangs, shit. So, and then, you know, I guess for the fact that probably none of those police patrolling grew up in Compton. So, you know, I always thought that was important to have police who grew up or, you know, came from those type of areas. Then they would better know how to deal with niggas, you know what I'm saying, as far as we were concerned. But a lot of them motherfuckers didn't come from where we was from, so they looked at gangbanging and all that was just, you know, it was just senseless to them. So we got harassed for it. You know.
I was looking at Eiht shoes. Eiht shoes reminded me of some of my buddies used to wear the Nike Cortez shoes, similar to what my boy Eiht has on, and I would roll with them because I was always neutral, but some of my guys, they were part of different sets. And when they would wear the Nike Cortez shoes, the cops would roll up and say, hey, that's gang paraphernalia, and then hem all of us up. So they were doing little shit like that all the time.
I remember when they start trying to ban certain attire in schools.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
At one point, you know, I could wear whatever the fuck I wanted to wear at school. But I think by the time I got to junior high school, they had dress codes in school. And not for the fact of if you went to a private school and had to wear a uniform. Like, you couldn't wear certain hats because those were, you know, symbolized with, you know, every neighborhood had, you know, a baseball or a football cap that represented their neighborhood. So they tried to cut that out. They definitely tried to cut out the white tees at school.
Oh, yeah.
You could not wear all white tee to school, and you couldn't wear color shoestrings. So, yeah, they started trying to break us down as far as, you know, because they figured, I don't know what they thought, you know, that would stop certain shit.
Yeah.
But
that's racist as hell though, because when you start talking about Dickies and a T-shirt, that all kind of started out of people being poor. That's why you know, people being poor, and you know, you get your daddy's work pants and wear a T-shirt.
It was affordable attire. I mean, we wasn't going to the mall buying at the time.
The swap meet.
At the time, you know, everything was guess. You know, guess this or guess that. My parents wasn't going to buy no motherfucking $100 jeans and an $80 shirt. You get me? My parents, shit, when it was time to go school shopping, they might hand your ass $150 and say, nigga,
that's for the whole season.
You goddamn right. You know? So the first place, you know, once we got to school, shit, nigga, I'm going to buy me about 2-pack of all white T-shirts. I'm going to buy me a pair of Cortez, maybe 3 pair of khakis, nigga, and them motherfuckers finna get reflipped. You feel me?
And you know, the fly thing is, man, brothers from Compton, South Central, they wore those clothes and made it so fly, it became nationally recognized and emulated.
Oh, yeah.
Then the corporate structure got onto it now. So now it's trendy all over the world now.
Because when we used to go on tour and we used to go back down south or back east or Midwest, motherfuckers used to be like, well, I got them work uniforms on and shit. Because, you know, back in where y'all was from, niggas wore them like for work. I wear me niggas working in sanitation or at the you know the automotive place or whatever. They wore Dickies. You get the overalls, the khakis with the shirt. But to us, that was motherfucking cheap wardrobe for a motherfucker coming up in Compton because mostly everybody was in poverty then.
Yes, indeed.
You get me? So shit, everybody. It wasn't just you know. A section or like this, every gang in Compton, South Central LA, Long Beach, I don't give a fuck. Us, the Mexicans, wherever you were from, shit, nigga, that was your attire.
That was your attire.
I mean, you get a pair of khakis back then probably for about fucking $12, $13.
Oh, yeah.
So shit.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, man? DOC said when he left Dallas, everybody was dressing like Houdini. When he went back to Dallas, everybody's dressing like Eazy-E.
Yeah.
So that showed the influence of it, man. That influence of that LA culture. They made something so simple, so fly, that everybody had to emulate it.
And it was affordable. And you know what I noticed? When it became popular, the price of Dickies went up like 30, 40%.
Yes, they did. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Didn't nobody get no money? Didn't nobody have a sponsorship deal? Like, you would think that they would have came and gave Compton's Most Wanted a deal and said, hey, you know what, we got a couple hundred bands for y'all promoting our product.
They sure did hike the motherfuckers up.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Dickies, I never seen nobody do an endorsement deal with those.
They like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Why? Because look at it. Their motto was, our gear is for the hard working 9-to-5 man. You get me? So that they was already at sponsorship. We don't need no sponsor. Every nigga that take his ass to work at a factory or construction or whatever, they finna buy one of our suits.
Yeah. Now let me ask you something, Eiht. When did you and your guys get your first major record deal? Well, before y'all had to deal with, was it Orpheus Records or something?
That was our first deal.
Okay. Were you on an independent before then? Did you do something with Macola?
No, I didn't fuck with Macola, but the dude that we fucked with, they all went through Macola.
Okay.
I fucked with Techno Hop.
Okay.
Which was
Unknown, right?
Right. Okay. Like I said, I met Unknown through Lonzo.
Okay.
Because
shout out to Lonzo, that's my guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Lonzo, you know, everybody know Lonzo had Crew Cut and World Class Wrecking Crew and all of that. So I just happened to be fucking with some dudes who was trying to get a singing deal with Lonzo. You know, because Lonzo was that type of, he was pushing that agenda.
Yeah.
So I tried to get, me and the homie Chill, shout out my nigga Chill, we was just like tag-alongs because, you know, we was in the neighborhood banging and shit, and the music had just started cracking and shit. So I was never good at serving. You get me? So when the rap bug caught me, I figured like, well, shit, I could write some songs about, you know, being from Trag New and what goes in Compton and the drive-by shootings and all of that shit. So we hooked up with we just happened to tag along, and Unknown was there. And I had a demo tape that I played, and so they liked the shit, and we actually instead of fucking with Lonzo, we went with Unknown.
Okay.
Lonzo probably was mad in the motherfucker.
Well, no, Lonzo basically turned us on to Unknown because he couldn't do shit with us at the time.
Makes
Lonzo,
sense.
you know, he had a gang of shit going on.
And he was primarily focused on the R&B stuff at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
He probably couldn't produce y'all the right way.
And you know, like I said, my man had shit going on.
And Unknown at the time just produced 6 in the Morning, right?
Unknown had He had all of King T's singles.
Oh, yeah.
He had The Coolest. He had motherfucking You Better Bring a Gun, Payback's a Mother.
I thought that was Pooh.
That was Pooh, but they came out under Techno House.
Oh, right. Okay.
Pooh was the
Got it.
producer.
Okay.
And Unknown had the label.
Okay.
So that came out, and then Ice-T, of course. Ice-T had Dog in the Wax over there.
Right.
He had a record called You Don't Quit over there. And then after those two, they dropped 6 in the Morning.
Okay.
So Unknown had a little more of the street element as far as the records were going. He did a lot of techno shit, but once Easy and them broke out, and Cube and all of them, they like, oh, we got to get in there. So we went through Unknown via DJ Slip.
Okay.
Slip was the producer. He was producing all the music that came up out of there.
So did y'all produce or did y'all put out a record on Techno Hop before y'all got with the major?
We put out a maxi single.
Okay.
It had 3 songs on it.
Were y'all Compton's Most Wanted yet?
Yes.
Oh, really?
We were Compton's Most Wanted then.
Okay.
And we put out a record called This Is Compton, Give It Up, and I Give Up Nothing.
Now, what year was that?
Yeah, what year?
Oh, man, that had to be like 89.
Okay.
I remember that record. The homie had that tape.
Yeah, because we had a tape, too. Now, the plan was they were going to stop fucking with Macola. And they were supposed to form West Coast distributors or some shit.
Lonzo, Unknown, and Egypt, right?
Lonzo, Egypt, Unknown, and I think L.A. Dream Team dude.
Okay.
Snake Puppy.
Right.
Yeah,
So they were going to form their own and stop fucking with Macola. And I don't know what happened, because we were supposed to be the first project to come through there. And we did that single, and I think Unknown met this guy named Chuck Fassard and Stewart, and I forgot the other dude name. He ended up working for Morgan Creek. But they heard the motherfucking single.
Yeah.
And so Unknown negotiated, because they was fucking with Orpheus.
Unknown was.
This dude that Unknown met.
Okay.
So that's how we ended up signing to Orpheus Capital. Okay. Because Unknown met a dude who was fucking with Orpheus, who Orpheus had to deal with Capital. So, but at the time, nothing that they had put out was successful. So Capital was on their last legs with Orpheus. So
didn't Orpheus put out Arabian Prince?
Yeah, they put out a gang of bullshit.
Okay.
No disrespect to Arabian Prince, but they was putting out a gang of bullshit. You just shit that wasn't going.
Right.
Dance driven.
So we end up coming through, but it's like I said, it was at the time where Capital was like, we ain't really fucking with Orpheus no more.
Yeah.
So what happened was, we put out It's a Compton Thing through Orpheus, the first album, CM Dub album. And then...
did Unknown produce the whole album?
Hell no. A lot of it was produced by DJ Slip.
Okay, right.
Unknown produced a little bit, but Unknown was really like the executive motherfucker.
Right.
He, he was the motherfucker who knew the game. We didn't know shit. I didn't know shit. You get me? So that's how my publishing got stolen. And, he stole my publishing and all of that. I was just a young nigga eager to rap. You get me? I didn't know. I was 17 years old. I didn't know shit about contracts and lawyers and all of that. Nigga, all I wanted to do was be on the cover of Fresh or Right On. Nigga riding that limo with that dookie rope on, and that made me feel like I had accomplished something in music.
Did you have any dealings with Jerry Heller at the time?
Hell no. I never went to. But see, all them niggas was, and I don't want to call them crooked, because I tell Steele this all the time. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And like my nigga Steele is probably a rare motherfucker because he believe in being fair with niggas. But like I tell him all the time, if a nigga gonna fuck you, he gonna fuck you.
If he can, he will.
If he can, he's gonna fuck you. And at that time, all these little independent labels that were running around the city, if they got them artists, they was gonna fuck you.
Even at Macola, you know, we've heard rumors about Macola, how they would backdoor the records.
Of course.
We've been hearing rumors about that for years.
Man, please. So, like I said, we signed the Orpheus, and then that deal fell through, and then the record, I guess, it sold about 200,000 copies. So, Orpheus went over to Sony. And so we ended up getting a deal through Orpheus through Sony.
Okay.
Y'all moved some units.
We moved like 200,000 units on our very first record. And we had one video. We had no radio play, no promotion, no nothing. We did about 200 and some thousand. So Orpheus basically, they got dropped by Capitol, and then EMI probably wanted to sign us. So we did the New York trip and went to go sit down with EMI and Chrysalis and all that. But like I said, at the time, they had no idea what to do with us. You get me? They had no idea. So we came home, we didn't have a deal, and the next thing you know, we signed to Sony and Epic, and I did 2 records over there through Unknown and Orpheus.
Yeah.
And then I found out a nigga was stealing money, and you know, so.
At that time, this is like 90, 91, right?
This is around, between 91 and 93.
When Tim Dog did the Fuck Compton record, did he put y'all in there? Did he mention Compton's Most Wanted? Okay.
He didn't mention us, but we did a record on Music to Drive By called Fuck Tim Dog. It was called Who's Fucking Who? And it was aimed at Tim. We just felt disrespected because of all the bad rap we were getting because of our style of music. You get me? And everybody knows, you know, as far as the majority of hip hop, you know, where it was, you know, high notoriety, you know.
A lot of people felt disrespected because the West Coast welcomed a lot of hip hop records.
Yes,
from East Coast,
we do.
We had K-Day, so everybody would come out here. We welcomed them with open arms.
Yeah, we've put on the shows with the Run DMCs and the Houdinis and the LLs and the Eric B and Rakims, and even to this day, outside artists get more love and respect than I think hometown artists do.
Did y'all perform at Skateland World on Wheels back in the day?
Hell no. We couldn't do that.
Not even World on Wheels?
Oh no. At that time we were what you would call like, we were stuck in the hood. I didn't venture outside of Compton. Like half of my the beginning of my career, rap career, I didn't leave Compton. I mean, that's all I knew. I didn't, you know, as far as the gangbanging shit is concerned, we didn't travel outside the hood.
You knew a lot about hip hop, dog.
Oh yeah, man. I was around all that stuff. I was with the LA Posse and all those guys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Muff.
My boy Slip, he ran LA sound control.
Okay.
So they used to provide all the sound systems for all the LA Convention Center concerts. You know, when they would bring Run DMC out here, my man Slip and them would provide the sound systems, the tables, all the big Sherwin Vegas and all that shit.
Did you ever go to the Uncle Jam Army joints? Were you a little bit? I was too young.
I was too young back then. But once I hooked up with Slip was like I said, he ran LA Sound Control Mob, and then he was a local DJ at a lot of those clubs back then. Water the Bush, Paradise, you know, so
Now you cool with Unknown still?
I haven't talked to Unknown.
Word.
Yeah.
About how long?
Ooh. I haven't talked to Unknown since Sony decided to kick him out of my deal because I was complaining when I found out he stole publishing money.
Oh, damn.
So, you know,
I just saw him on some shit. He was on Alonzo's show.
Yeah,
but he had his face covered up.
Him
still
and
covering his
Lonzo
face?
is, yeah, him and Lonzo is cool. My problem is this, and just like I say, if a nigga can fuck you, he gonna fuck you. Now I was a young dude. I knew nothing about the music business. I was just coming into trying to find my identity as far as I'm gangbanging. I'm claiming a neighborhood, blah. I knew nothing about the music business. But when it started, it caught me. Like, you know, I'm finding myself not going to the hood today because I'm sitting at home fucking writing raps and shit.
Right.
And so it caught my interest because I looked at it like, the fuck am I finna do? You know, you're trying to figure yourself out around 16, 17, 18. What am I finna do?
Right.
You get me?
Were you guys, and basically Quick, the first crews to claim sets? Because I don't remember anybody claiming an actual set. I knew people were part of sets. You guys openly claimed a set, and that was the first time I've seen that.
I didn't, when I first started rapping, I didn't openly say I was from Tragnew Park because
That would have fucked the record sales up, right?
I was from Tragnew, before I started rapping.
Right.
And around Compton, that's
People knew.
exactly.
They already knew.
I didn't feel a need to do that. Now, people knew we were Crips.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because of the references. But I never openly came out and said Tragnew, and probably until my 4th or 5th record.
Okay.
We were already gangbanging. That was, like I tell people, that was before rap started. So partly, you know, the situation with that is, you know, I was from Tragnew, he was from his neighborhood. That was openly known before records even, you know, started coming out. So
Let me ask you this. Your movie that you got, is it dropping at the end of this month?
It's dropping this week.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say microphone check.
Microphone check, yeah.
You talk about the origins of hip-hop a lot over there. Do you touch on the West Coast any?
No, we're going to have to do another film about the West Coast. That's why I'm chopping it up
Yeah,
with Eiht, so
we would
all
like
this
to
game
definitely
up.
be involved with.
Absolutely.
We would like to definitely, because Bobcat, when you mentioned the LA Posse, Bobcat is my god brother.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
DJ
wow.
Bobcat
Wow.
is my god brother, so I would definitely, definitely want to be a part of that. You talk about something, and that's what really caught me. That's when I really I said, this brother know what he's talking about. And I think I commented on your Twitter page or X or whatever it's called now, right? I've been hearing a lot of brothers, primarily from the East Coast, no disrespect to none of them cats, right? But they starting to rewrite history a little bit, saying like hip hop is from the Caribbean.
Right.
And now that may have been your inspiration, but that's not where it comes from. Now, when you do microphone check, do you address a lot of that stuff?
We address all of it, man. Because, you know, the 50th anniversary of hip-hop is here. So now that hip-hop is a positive thing and it's corporate now. So there's a lot of money coming into it. And plus, they got the b-boying and breakdancing in the Olympics now. So now there's a lot of money in this. And whenever something is looked at as positive that we create, we always have to get it taken away from us. Now they got to have a co-creation origin. They got to say we got it from Latinos and the Caribbeans. And no disrespect to them, but hip-hop and rap, none of that came from the Caribbean. There was a myth that got started in the 80s that rap came from Jamaican toasting. That's not true. And another myth, they tried to say, well, Kool Herc, is the creator of hip hop. He's not the creator. He's the godfather.
I'm gonna tell you who the creator of hip hop is. To be technical with you, a guy from North Carolina, Pig Meat Markham.
Yeah,
Here Come the Judge.
Yeah, that record, he was actually rapping over a funk break, and a lot of rappers actually got their cadence from that.
And
they learned from that.
I'm gonna tell you something. And him being from North Carolina, he kind of made his bones in the chitlin circuit in Harlem.
Yeah,
And he was at the Apollo all the time. So I'm pretty sure somebody went to the Apollo because he was there like every week and he was winning that motherfucker. And I'm pretty sure somebody went to the Apollo and said, you know what, that's kind of tight. Same thing he was doing. If you never heard Here Come the Judge?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've been rapping on records since the 1920s. We've always done that. Even when we weren't doing records, we would do something called hambone. We would pat on our bodies.
Hambone.
And hambone, have you heard? Mama gonna buy you a Mockingbird. And you know Mixmaster Spade, he would rap in the hambone cadence.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, Mixmaster Spade and your man in rock. That's hambone, you know? So that's a part of our culture, man. We've been doing that stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why, because, you know, shout out to my guy, Mr. Mix. I learned a lot about hip-hop being on the road with, you know, between Bobcat. The foundation of hip-hop, first of all, is the DJ.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Slip. You feel what I'm saying? DJ Slip. That was his guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, through all the albums, right? So they would hit me these records. I remember Mr. Mix played me a record one day, and he was like, this is the first hip-hop record right here. And he treated that motherfucker like gold, had it in like this little pillowcase and pulled it from the top of his shelf and played it for me, man. And I said, wow, when this record come from? And like you said, I found out later on that they had been making records since like the 20s. And us as the people right now, I'm seeing the culture get pilfered from us. Like I've heard, and I don't never diss nobody on this show, we ain't about that, but I'm hearing people go out there and say things on major platforms like CNN because they just invite people. They go, what they do with these major publications, these major media houses, they go look at whoever got the highest amount of people on their Instagram or their YouTube.
Right.
And they say, oh, he must be an authority. So they call them people in there and they in there acting as representatives for a culture that they don't know shit about. So they get to telling all these lies and stuff, and those lies eventually become fact.
And that's the problem, man. We got to start gatekeeping the culture because what happens is we let people tell these lies. They tell a little lie and they get away with that and the lies just get bigger and bigger. So now when we start reclaiming our music genres, they treat us like guests in the genre. Like Beyonce. Beyonce has a country album and a lot of the country fans are acting like she's a guest in country, like she's disrespecting country by claiming it. But we created country music. That was created by foundational Black Americans. Same thing with rock and roll. They treat us like guests in rock and roll.
Exactly.
That's our music. They do the same thing with jazz. They try to make us guests in jazz now. That's our creation.
And it's happening if we not careful, man. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, if we not careful, hip-hop is going to go the way of rock and roll.
Yes, it is.
And all those other genres. Because if you look up 30 years from now, because I'm looking at the white kids, right? And I'm by no means racist, but I'm telling the truth. This is fact right here. I'm not lying. If you look at it now, they seem to be pushing my booty hole is pink and this and that, and I sucked dick last night. You feel what I'm saying? It's like they saying some wild stuff on these records, man, and the other stuff is not really getting no attention.
Right. Ain't no balance now, man. They just have a one-sided stereotype. They don't have any balance no more. Like going back to the 80s, cats rapped about gangbanging, but they would put a consequence to it.
Definitely.
You guys would have a consequence.
Definitely.
We banging, but this is going to happen if you bang.
Yeah, I told you, you're going to go to jail.
You're right.
Or you're going to get killed, or your homie going to get killed, or they're going to do a drive-by on your house, or the police is going to do this or that and the other. So we always tried to make it, like you said, a consequence for it.
Like with 6 in the Morning with Ice-T. There was a consequence to all that stuff he was doing. Ice Cube, Gangsta, all that gangsta stuff he was doing in the end of the song, now I'm back in the county blues. You know, so there was always a consequence. So the artists knew to have a balance. Like, we're not trying to tell you to do that. This is what we did and this is the consequence of it. So y'all don't do that. That's why we're all in the same gang movement going on. They had self-destruction saying, hey, don't rock with crack. Crack ain't cool. That's why crack is looked down as negative today because the rappers made it negative.
Oh, for sure. We didn't. A lot of people, especially from our generation, if it wasn't smoking weed or having a little bit of Hennessy, we didn't mess with it because you was looked at as the fiend if you was on some type of drug.
Right.
Rappers frowned upon.
Rappers made that a negative thing. Even the dudes who were serving, like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm trying to get out. Don't you fuck with no bullshit like this. This ain't it.
Yeah, for real.
Now it's glorified. Mollies and Percocets
right
and shit. They make that shit sound cool now.
Oh, they make it sound real cool.
Is that because of the generation?
Yeah. No, it's because of the corporate structure, man. The record labels make them do that shit. They incentivize them. They give them more money for that type of stuff. Whereas, man, back in the day, man, cats had somewhat of a code. Some people would say, hey, you niggas would run up in record labels and smack motherfuckers up back then.
We definitely did. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, they didn't really play like that back then with these majors. They would tell them, hey, I'm not doing this bullshit. I ain't putting on no dress. I ain't about to do a duet with Kenny G. You know, you would tell them. We ain't doing all that.
We would stand up a little bit.
Yeah, they would stand up.
We come in and kick your motherfucking dough in with a couple of baseball bats, nigga.
Shit.
I'm not playing. No, I'm not doing it. And that's why people ask me, why you never did this or why you never did more movies? Because it was like, do you want to be, can you put on the nose and paint your face and put on the clown wig and can you just, and I'm like, nah, man. Is that what you got to do?
They want to
Speaking of that, how'd you get the role for Minister Society?
The movies were getting popular with us in them, you know, as far as rappers, you know, what we had, well, first of all, we had colors, so that kind of set the tone a little bit. And then, you know, we had fucking Juice with Pac.
Yeah.
We had Boys in the Hood with Cube. We had, Trespass with Ice-T and Cube. We had South Central with Glenn Plummer and shit. So it was the Hughes brothers, you get me?
Were you in those early reads with Tupac when he was there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? And what happened? What went left?
Honestly, the Hughes brothers, I don't think they didn't really want him in the movie.
Really?
The Hughes brothers had been fucking with Pac for a while. They did they probably did about 5-6 videos on Tupac.
That's right.
So they knew him. They worked with him. And, you know, my man Pac he's very strong-willed.
Yeah.
And so you, as a probably video director or, you know, your patience probably wore a little thin after working with the controversial brother for 5 or 6 times. So, but at the time, you know, you got this movie, you got, you know, the hookup with this company, and Tupac's the man.
Yeah.
Come on. Records, the controversy, you know, fuck it. My nigga got juice. My nigga got poetic justice. Like, we got fuck with him. So that was probably one of the, you know, we'll give y'all this movie, but y'all got to put my nigga in the movie. And so, I don't work with this motherfucker. You get me? That's probably the mind state.
Right.
But you got to get in where you fit in, right? So they put him in the movie, but the character they gave him was not suitable for him. You get me? And that was the problem.
He wanted to be old dog.
What didn't he like about, because he was playing Sharif, right?
Yes, they wanted him to play Sharif, the conscious guy. But it's Tupac. So you got me in a motherfucking, you got me in a Al Capone ass killer movie and shit, and I'm the one standing on the outside going, you know, I'm that preacher on the corner where, you know, you go through those movies and the preacher's always on the corner telling everybody, why am I him? You get me? Why? And so you want me to be that? Okay, so I need an explanation. So I need y'all to show why Eiht is a killer, O-Dog's a killer, Tyron's turning into killer. Everybody's from the hood hard, but I'm over here the conscious one. Right. Now, it gotta be because, you know,
Tupac wanted a backstory to the guy.
I need a backstory.
Right, because in the movie, there's not a backstory to this guy. He's just there saying, y'all don't need to be doing this.
And like I say, of course he's with us because he's allowed. Right. He's everywhere we are.
Why? Why is that, nigga? So nobody never explained why.
Of course he's probably from the hood, right?
They never explained it, though.
But they didn't explain it, and it fucked with him.
Okay.
Every day we would come to table reads, and it would get to his time to read his part. He would not read because he was not comfortable with the character. Like, man, show me killing a nigga. Yeah. Show, you know, me going to jail and then I change and come out and whatever. But to just have me this conscious nigga amongst a room of gangbanging, dope dealing killer niggas, like,
it don't make no sense.
But he wasn't the protagonist though. The thing is, you know, as a writer, if he's not the protagonist, you could always have somebody in the movie where you don't know their backstory. That would have required them almost going in and rewriting the whole damn script.
Right, and that's what he wanted. Right. He wanted a backstory, and they were like, we're not doing that. So it caused the rift.
Okay.
And, you know, you can, like, you know, you as a writer, director, whatever, you can only hold up shit for so long.
Right.
Nigga, the money is ching-chinging.
Right.
The executives is like, hey, what's going on? How come we ain't starting to shoot? How come we still doing fucking table reads and it's fucking 2 weeks into this shit? We should be out filming. And that's because they didn't know how to deal with the interruptions every day.
Right.
So after about a week or two, they just decided, you know, and like I said, once the bottom line comes and you tell a motherfucker, man, we losing like 10, 15,000 a day because we ain't shooting.
Well,
they ain't gonna give a fuck who's in it.
If you remember, a lot of people was getting cast in the same movies. I wonder because you know the dude that played Sharif was a gangbanger in Boys in the Hood. He the one that took the ball from the
ball
dude.
at the dude.
Yeah, my nigga Vontae. I went to school with Vontae.
So
that's so he's from Compton.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we went to school together.
I didn't know that.
I went to school with Vontae.
Oh wow.
Compton just got a lot of talent.
A lot of talent
there,
out there, man. A lot of talented folks out there.
You know, like some of the best rappers in the world don't came from the city of Compton. Compton, not if I compared like Brooklyn when I explained to people, I always tell people like Compton is kind of like the I wouldn't say Harlem. It's kind of like the Bronx.
Yeah.
Of the West Coast. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Bronx. You know, and well, I would say Watts is the Bronx. Compton might be more Brooklyn now.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? It's more Brooklyn. It's a lot of wordsmiths that come out of Compton. It's a lot of inspiration in the neighborhood.
Well, you had to hustle out there in Compton, man. A lot of hustlers out there. Cats had to hit the streets, so they took that same mentality to the rap game.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I wanted to ask you a question, man. And this really, the older I get, this really, because I see a lot of stuff in the culture, like I said, like from these big, these huge platforms inviting the wrong people up there to speak.
Yeah.
There are so many knowledgeable people such as yourself, people such as this man right here, me, a lot of other brothers out there doing their thing. And it seemed like we're last to get called for the stuff. Do you think that's because we're threatening?
To a certain degree, because a lot of the goofy stuff, man, that's somewhat profitable. It was profitable. Now we're flooded with the goofy stuff now. So people are kind of getting tired of it.
Right.
So now people want to see conversations like this now because it's out of the norm. You want to get a different take on something. You can only get so much hedonism and ratchetness until you say, hey, let me try something else. A motherfucker with their clothes on is more interested than all of these naked motherfuckers twerking if you see too much of it. So there has to be balance to everything, man.
Exactly, like, you know, big ups to Sexy Red.
Yeah.
Her music is entertaining. I think
some of it is catchy.
Banging. You know, some of it's catchy, but like you said, there's no longer a balance, right?
Right.
Because what's the one sister's name? She be busting too. What's her name? Begins with an R.
Remy Ma? Was it Remy?
Not Remy,
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I would like to see them give Rhapsody the kind of the same platform that Sexy Red got, because both of them, I'm not gonna say Sexy Red is exactly necessary, but I get it.
Well, you got to have a balance. We got a whole bunch of Sexy Reds out here right now. Sexy Red, Glorilla, Megan, City Girls, all of them doing the same thing. See, back in the 90s, man, we had ratchetness too. We had Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, but we had a balance. We had Lauryn Hill, we had Queen Latifah, we had Yo-Yo, we had MC Eiht, so there was a balance to it. So that didn't overtake everything. Back in the 88, that was the peak of hip hop. That was the golden era of hip hop, 1988.
We all came up on.
Yeah, that year, it was so diverse. Many of those people can still go on tour now. They were that impactful. It was so diverse in 88. You had Kid and Play, Heavy D, Public Enemy, EPMD, Salt and Pepper, Rakim. It was NWA, all of these guys. So it was a taste for everybody. Nobody was acting the same. In fact, if you emulated another rapper, that would...
you was frowned down upon.
Yeah, you would look
biting.
down upon. Yeah, you biting, dude. You sound like such and such. Even EPMD, they were criticized for sounding like Rakim. Exactly. They were like, hey, y'all better change that style up a little bit. So there was a code in hip-hop. Hip-hop was still on this code where you're supposed to be innovative and diverse.
Based on originality.
Right. You got to be original. The corporate structure, when they got a part of it, they want cookie cutter. They want everybody sounding the same so they can send it to radio.
Well, me working inside that building, I'll tell you what happened, man. Once everything goes corporate, instead of them hiring people that are actually qualified for the job, they're looking for guys that come from where they come from. They don't want to sit there and look at one of us every day. They don't relate to us, so they want to hire the kid out of, which I don't have no problem with, but he got to be from the culture. They want to hire the kid from Cornell or Brown. They make all of these, because I've been in these offices before and seen guys responsible for some of the most important hip-hop artists of this generation. I'm like, this dude don't know what the fuck he doing. How is he an A&R for this dude? He don't know. He don't like. How am I gonna give him direction when I don't know where he come from? It's a difference. If I'm talking to Eiht, it's certain stuff I know he's not going to do off rip. So I'm not gonna present him with a bunch of tracks that may be, Pharrell got some bangers, by the way, but I'm not gonna bring Eiht change clothes. You feel what I'm saying? That's not him. I'm gonna bring him some.
Right, and back in the 80s, man, when cats made records, I mean, you had to, if you making a record, man, you putting all your money together, this is your one shot, you better come correct with that shit. You better be real creative. Cats ain't got money to blow in no studio. You better make something that you know the hood is gonna like, something that you can take up there to Greg Mack and K-Day and those guys. So you had to be very serious about what you were doing. And a lot of those guys knew how to A&R themselves. They felt what the streets was kind of leaning towards and patterned it on that.
And back then, you had the producer that normally came from a DJ background again, the sound man. I'm pretty sure Slip probably was A&R on y'all earlier records. Y'all was some young guys. So I'm pretty sure he was probably telling you, Eiht, say it like this or do this like this. Am I correct, though?
I kind of never had to go with that as far as came to recording, because I took pride in writing and saying shit. I was the type of motherfucker back then that I'd rap some shit and get halfway through the verse and say, stop it, and go back.
Oh, so you was producing
let me do that over. And, I do it again, and we'll listen to it, and I'll be like, I fucked up on that part. Let's do that over. Or I'll be like, you listen to me right there. And then, Slip would give me that. But I think I just took pride in wanting to be
elite,
a good MC.
Yeah.
Back then, it was hard to maintain or get in the game.
Yeah.
You get me? It wasn't simplified like it is now. Shit, I can sit in my, my room, turn on my laptop, give me a microphone and bing. No, like you said back then, it was costing $200-$300 an hour to go up in one of them studios with them 2-inch reels.
And it's gonna get ugly now.
Yeah.
With this AI shit, it's about to get real ugly for a lot of people, because if you look at what they just did to Spotify today, right? they about to open up all this other stuff, and they taking more money from the artists now, right? With this AI stuff, it's scary, man, because the AI stuff, it's a great tool, right? But it's going to start replacing a lot of people.
It is.
It's just going to start replacing a lot of people. Pretty soon, they're going to have an AI version of, and I'm going to tell you it's coming, they're going to have an AI version of a rapper.
They already got one. It was a guy a couple of years ago they announced. They had an AI rapper, some white dude.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that? Yeah, they already
did.
did. And people were like, hey, what the hell is that? Then they got quiet about it.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to tell you what's about to happen. They're not going to tell us. We not going to know.
Right.
It's going to be a dude that's going to be the perfect MC almost. And he's going to be all AI based.
Right.
Watch and see what I tell you. Because I'm going to tell you, man, people...
I mean, it's just like what motherfucker like they doing with the companies. Nigga, we don't need you to stand here and screw a handle on the car no more. Or what you get me? We got the motherfucking machines that do all that shit now. So why would I want to deal with a motherfucking nigga who's a knucklehead coming from a whatever? I could just go create a nigga like that. And punch in my computer what type of attitude and what this and whoop-de-whoop.
I can
and then take it on tour with a hologram.
Exactly.
And make all the money, man. Merchandise and everything about it. And the kids go crazy about it. I'm telling you what's scary, man. Now, I forget which rock and roll dude, and I fuck with him for saying that, man. The guy from Kiss.
Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons. They offered Gene Simmons like a ridiculous amount of money for his like virtual rights. I think they offered that man something like $15, $20 million. And he said, no, because I can't picture them. They not going to care about the quality of the stuff that I do. They going to have everybody just can't come and write a Kiss record. So I want all these people to go on our farewell tour to remember me from being this. If they want to see us, they can go buy the video.
Right.
I don't want a ghost version of me floating around here 100 years from now.
Yeah. When they did something on one of those Grammy shows where they had a hologram Michael Jackson, that turned a lot of people up. I didn't like it, because there's only one Michael. That thing don't have the spirit of Michael. They need to leave that alone. And when Drake did that diss record and used Tupac's vocals, a lot of people got turned off from that too.
Oh, his family was pissed off about that.
Yeah, everybody was. A lot of folks were pissed off on that.
And I'm going to tell you, dog, Tupac, I think people aren't even aware, Tupac got a lot of family members that's still here. Because I managed Glass Malone. I remember when he put out
Shout out
Tupac.
to Glass. That's my homie. That's the homie.
When he put out the Tupac Must Die record.
Yeah.
Whenever Glasses release a record, my dining room is like the war table, right? We'd come in there playing and stuff. Man, I remember the phone calls we was getting. Me and him was driving down the 105 freeway, dude. And Tupac's cousin called and was like, man, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But he hadn't listened to the record. He just saw, and that's why I told him I never liked the name of that record.
Right.
Because to me, it took away from the story. But
he was trying to be provocative.
Yeah, he was trying to be provocative. Right. But to the average person, all they see is Tupac Must Die. What the fuck is he saying? He was talking about, from the mind of Orlando Anderson, right?
Yeah.
And it just kicked off a lot of stuff that I don't even know was worth doing. It kicked off a lot of stuff, man. And I think the one thing that they would never be able to emulate with these AI or whatever, you go always have to have somebody writing.
Yeah. Somebody has.
You go always have to have somebody writing, because I don't care what you say. Ain't no AI go spit no gangster shit better than Scarface or MC Eiht or Nas or whoever. It's not gonna be able to do it. But everything is turning real vanilla and saccharine right now. I'm really worried about the culture right now. Even to the point, man, where do you think this comes from? To me, I call it the baby man syndrome, to where you got a whole bunch of cats now online from their 40s to their 50s, just acting like little kids, bro. And when I say acting like little kids, that's almost insulting our young generation. The kids are more mature. My kids never acted like none of these dudes today, man. What can you attribute that to?
That, man, look, in the system of white supremacy, and Dr. Welsing talked about this, the white male is supposed to be on top. And if you don't challenge the white male, they put you in either one or two positions. You're going to have to be a grown boy, or you're going to have to be a male woman. You understand? So dudes either take one or two routes. They're going to be over feminized, or they're going to be ultra babyfied. That's what the movie Baby Boy was about. And in the movie Baby Boy, they had a Dr. Welsing quote at the beginning of the movie. The Jody character living with his mama, he's a big overgrown child because of arrested development. And that's a problem. That's why we always have to be in a position to say, hey, man, we got a problem with systematic racism. Let's not be ashamed of it. That's an issue. Let's deal with it, and let's acknowledge it.
Exactly. And I think right now, if you look at it, all that stuff seems to move the needle now.
Yeah.
Anything negative, if you go say something really positive and profound, it's gonna get buried. Nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah.
But if you saying something crazy and outlandish, oh man, this gonna break all kind of records.
Yeah. Man, look, when I did my books, The Art of Mackin', I was on MTV, VH1. They were trying to give me a show on NBC. They were trying to give me a late night show. That's why I was on, if you go Google, there's images of me. I was on Conan O'Brien, The Tonight Show. I did all that stuff because I was just doing relationship books from a kind of satirical standpoint. So that was non-threatening. When I started doing the Hidden Colors films, that's when I started getting negative press. When I said, hey, let me teach about Black history, all of a sudden, I'm a race baiter. I get all of these negative headlines. I'm getting visited by the FBI and all of this stuff.
The FBI came to see you?
Oh, many times. I can't even go to England. I'm banned from the UK because of my films.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm banned. I cannot go to the UK. I was going to go over there to have a film screening in the airport. They had to take me off they wouldn't let me on the plane, and they had phone calls going all over the place saying that I'm not allowed to go to the UK from the
Not
UK
because you got a criminal record or something like that.
Nothing.
Because of a book that you wrote.
But because of the movies, the Hidden Colors movies.
Oh, wow.
Because of those movies. They said that my presence is not conducive to the good of the society there. Basically, I might wake too many Black folks up. You start waking up Black folks, that's a problem. That's why, let's go back to the rap thing, NWA. When they were fuck the police, they were getting the FBI letters. I talked to Greg Mack one time. He told me the FBI was up there at K-Day asking about Easy and those guys. When you're talking revolutionary and you're independent, that's a threat. You understand? That's why the music industry, they have to get control of independent artists and say, hey, no, we can't have you out here moving those records, saying what you want to say. Get us under you. Let us get you under our wing so we can control what you say and do.
Wow, man.
It's heavy.
With all the changes that we've had in America, things have gotten a lot better. You know, we've had some progress in this country.
Yeah, we've had to fight for it. We made it happen.
Do you ever see us getting reparations?
Absolutely. Because the thing is, man, they already have to spend the money that's used on reparations for defense, man. When they militarize the police, that's the reparations money right there. All they have to do is do the right thing. Look, man, they started militarizing the police after the Watts riots. After the Watts riots, they saw Black folks was actually whooping ass in the 1960s. That's not talked about. Black folks, they'll show you some Black folks getting beat on, but low-key, Black people were bringing it to the damn police. Cleveland.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Man, in Illinois, there's a town called Cairo, Illinois, man. They ran all the white people out that town in the 1960s. They
I know our engineer probably here like, what the fuck, man?
Here's the white guy. Calm down.
You cool, you with us,
all right.
Man,
let me tell you.
He's sitting over there in the corner.
Listen, man.
I don't know. They probably picked the wrong guy to engineer this.
We're talking about Tupac. Man, listen to me, man. You had groups like the Black Liberation Army putting in work. That's where Tupac comes from. That's his stepdad, Mutulu Shakur. He was from the Black Liberation Army. They're the one broke Assata Shakur out of jail. That was Tupac's godmother. Tupac shot the cops, remember?
Yeah, he shot him.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's when you saw his election kind of come. I'm going to tell you an interesting story, not to cut you off.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So Bobcat was one of the first producers in L.A. that really messed with Pac. You know, like really, you know, he did Strictly for My Niggas album. That's when Pac was kind of going on his own, not leaving Shock G, but kind of, you know, getting his own identity, right? Pac, that's the Tupac I love, the revolutionary that told Black women how beautiful they was, but she had to turn around and shoot a cop in the ass because he think he out there fucking with a brother. But he was a sponge.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you feel what I'm saying? And I just really think, man, we missing that in the community right now, man. Because we don't have no leadership no more, man. I always look at myself because if you look at Black America now, it's set up to where the young people hate him oh, sit your old ass down. You don't need to rap no more. Get out the way. That's the whole thing. It's this dynamic. Get out the way so I can make my way through instead of them coming to sit with this brother and say, hey, I want to be able to sustain a 30-year career like you did.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah, you got, 60-year-old dudes trying to get record deals, and you got 50-year-old women trying to be video vixens now. They're trying to compete with the young girls now. So, right, we don't have that balance of leadership, of just adult supervision.
Because it wasn't like that. I went to the older dudes. I revered the older dudes in my hood that may have went on before me and played college football. That's how I got up out of Cleveland. Because an older dude that played, he went to a junior college. I don't know what the hell a junior. I thought it was over with for me. After my high school career, all them D's I had on my report card, man, I never thought I would go to college. But because of him, he made some phone calls for me. And next thing you send some film off. Back in the day, you had to put shit in the mail. You feel what I'm saying? Them big ass round tapes. You had to put them in the mail.
The VHS tape.
Next thing you know, I got a call from 5 or 6 junior colleges around the country. They were like, hey, we interested in bringing you out. But there was a leadership. It was like everybody looked out for each other.
Yes,
now,
indeed.
everybody is too busy to be in competition.
Right. Even back in the day, man, the 80s, even the street cats would look out for people who had potential. If you saw somebody trying to venture off in some street business, the hustlers would say, get your ass off this block.
Oh, definitely.
Man. Get the fuck out of here, man. You don't come out here banging with us.
We definitely didn't want to deter brothers away who had potential to.
Somebody sitting his
be
ass.
more.
Yeah.
There was a reason why he stopped going to the neighborhood. Ain't that right?
I mean, sometimes you just get to a point where people see that you can do more than what you think. You feel me? And that's just people seeing the potential. Like I said, a lot of people look at you and try to determine because where you come from or your situations or where you live. But that's those old cats. That's the model that we came from. To watch out for our youth and our inspiring.
Do you think Lonzo kind of did that for you guys to a certain degree?
Well, Lonzo really didn't. Well, as far as as recognizing talent, and he felt like I can't fuck with y'all, but then here's a dude who can fuck with y'all because at the time, it was coming out of his era of music, what they were doing. At first, he probably hated that shit, like it portrays. Not hated it, but we have been successful with what's right here. And like, a lot of people like to use the term, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's the way he probably was looking at his success and his career. We've been quite successful on what we've been doing. So, but at the time, the music was changing. You get me? The brothers from New York was coming out, and we was hearing that. And once Easy came out, then like you said, we had dudes like Spade and Toddy T who were already giving us tales from the neighborhood. A lot of they shit was underground. That's just how shit was. You know what I'm saying?
Going back to let's say I hate to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Unknown. What happened with Unknown, man? I heard something happened with him up at Death Row. And somebody put hands on him, right?
Unknown.
I heard that story, man.
What happened? I've heard different versions over the years.
This is the story that I know.
All right.
We were working on. We had just came off for a Straight Checking Them record. And Dre had just left Easy, got with Suge, whatever. So we basically sat down one night, me, Unknown, Slip, and my nigga Chill. And Unknown told us that Dre was finna start a new label. And they were looking for a name for the label. Long story short, they came up with the Death Row name. We basically came up with the name. Me, Unknown, Chill, and Slip.
Came up with Death Row.
Yes.
Okay.
They called it DEF first.
Okay.
And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, Unknown took it to Suge and sold it to Suge, the name, whatever. But that's how he got in with Suge in them.
Okay.
Because Suge knew that he, so-called, was producing our records, Compton's Most Wanted.
Okay.
And I think we were on our third album. So they enlisted Unknown to do production work for the Convicts were supposed to be the first group that came out.
Big Mike and Laura 3-2.
Okay. Was that Malik and those guys?
No, that's
your youngsters.
3-2 and Big Mike
Houston,
from Texas. From Houston.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They
Rap
were a
a lot.
group called
Yeah.
the Convicts.
Oh, that's right.
Rap a Lot.
That's right. Yeah.
They were supposed to be the first group on Death Row. Because I don't even think they had Snoop yet.
Oh, wow.
Well, that record was Big Mike's record. The one, the Break 'Em Off something. The Break 'Em Off something.
The deep cover record.
Yeah.
So because Unknown got in with him, he took some money from them to do beats. Suge was expecting the beats. Unknown was using, from what I hear, every time they asked for the music, he was like, well, I'm busy right now working on Compton's Most Wanted record. That didn't fly too good with Suge, especially when I done gave you money to turn in beats. So I heard he was up there one day. They questioned him about the beats. He didn't have them, so they took off on him. Yeah, because he came to the studio with us about 3 days later, and we couldn't figure out why he had sunglasses on in a dark-ass studio.
Oh, wow.
Like, why you got sunglasses on? And that's around the time when I stopped fucking with him, because I had found out that he basically stole publishing money.
Yeah, because
I wrote all my songs. I never had a ghostwriter. I never had, so half of that publishing was mine. I wrote every fucking CMW song, every MC Eiht song. Never had a ghostwriter. Never had any help. So
did you co-produce some of the records? Say, hey, this sample might work.
Well, I would always bring music to them.
Okay, that's
You get me?
co-producing. That's
I
co-producing.
would go like, hey, let's use this record. Let's use this record. Sample this record.
Right.
Sample this record. I started doing that around the second Straight Checking Them record.
Yeah.
I was interested in producing. So, but yeah, once I found out he stole publishing money, and that was kind of the end of it from there.
Wow.
You know, I'm a young kid from Compton. You know, I didn't know no better. Like, if you could have asked me back then, I would have been like, what the fuck is publishing?
I want to go back. I'm sorry to cut you off, man.
I'm like, what the fuck is publishing?
Yeah. I want to go back to this because we touched on it, but we didn't. I want to talk about this reparations.
Yeah.
If you look at the impact that slavery had on us as a people, it's still lasting up to this day. You know, I was talking to my dad. My dad is 79 years old. He was just out here with me.
Oh, cool.
Shout out to Butch. But we were talking, and you know, he had a father who had a whole nother family in Tennessee. That was just a dynamic back then. It was just like he was just rolling around the South sowing his seed. And my dad was telling me, you know, 'cause this, as your parents get older, it's important to ask, you know, uncles and aunties, hey, where is it that we from?
Yeah.
So I got my family is from Memphis. My grandmother was from there and my grandfather was from there. But apparently my grandfather had a whole nother family down there and had another family in Arkansas too.
Oh, wow.
So he would disappear sometimes from my grandmother and them who had 10 kids with him. He would disappear sometimes for a whole year and go over here, you know, play house or whatever like that. And that happened all the way till he got older. I ain't gonna disrespect him. It's just the truth, right?
Right.
I think all of that stuff, man, that's like a stud almost.
Yeah.
He gets around there sowing his seed. I think all of that stuff got embedded into our DNA somehow, man. We suffered a lot because of that shit, man. We suffered a whole lot, man. And I feel like everybody else kind of gets taken care of. Like, you know, if you and I don't want to say you can't say shit nowadays without getting in trouble.
Exactly.
But if you come from another country, you can come over here and get all kind of help, open up a business and all that stuff. But no one has said, and the thing I hate hearing, well, that was so long ago, why are you still so worried about it? It's like, you bullshit. It wasn't your generations, your people wiped out. We don't even know where the fuck we come from. What the fuck is black?
Yeah, but they say they give red natives, they give them reparations, they give them big money, casinos, tax-free status, and that happened long ago. They try to play the long ago game with us. It wasn't that long ago, man. My grandmother was alive when Harriet Tubman was alive. So we had people who were former slaves still alive in the 1960s, man.
See, you come from the same kind of background I come from because my grandmother had told me that her mom was just fresh out of slavery. And then in the antebellum South, a lot of that shit was still going on up into the motherfucking 40s.
I mean, they still got plantations down
Yeah,
there.
it was a lot of slavery was still going. There was a lot of people who just were afraid to leave master's proverbial house that were still down there working for free.
And then after slavery, they had the sharecropping thing, which was another form of slavery because they were working for peanuts. So that legacy is still there, and we've never been compensated for that. And we got to stand on it and demand the compensation. People thought we weren't going to get out of slavery. When we said, hey, we need to get rid of this slavery thing, people said that's impossible. We did it. We actually fought to get out of slavery. That was something on a grassroots level. Black people were fighting. You had Maroons living in the swamp that were attacking plantations. Before the Civil War, you had the Seminole War, which was a black war down in Florida, where they essentially wiped out most of the plantations down there. They don't tell you about this. The U.S. Army was down there trying to suppress the black people. They ended up sending a lot of black people to Oklahoma. We were fighting our way out of slavery. In the 1960s, when people were saying, y'all ain't gonna get no civil rights, we fought and got civil rights. Whatever we focus on, we can get. So we'll get reparations. We just got to stay focused on it.
But just think about the absence of the black father in the home. It's almost like we're programmed because they come and tell a woman, hey, for every child you have, you're going to get $300-400. So you have a woman go out and have a church full of kids. They're going to move her in an apartment that's really not that bad, right? She's going to pay $50 a month. But guess what one of the main things is? You can't have a guy in here with you. You can't have a man in here with you. If you get a man here, you lose all this. So now you got women of the mindset, well, I don't even need a dude.
And the media was a big part of that too in the 60s. When they were getting black men out of the house with these little Section 8 welfare programs, they started putting on television shows with single black women, making that seem like it was cool. They had Diane Carroll do a show called Julia. She was a very beautiful black woman who was a single mother. That was new. They had a movie called Claudine, same thing, early 70s. Good Times was supposed to be Florida Evans being a single mother.
That was antithesis.
Yeah, right. She said, no, I don't want to be a single mother. She went to the producers and said, no, give me a husband.
And James Evans was strong, and you saw what they eventually
and they killed him off. Right. They didn't want that image. That James Evans, that image still resonates with us, man. That was America's black dad. But they had to kill that image off and kill him off, and that messed with the psyche of a lot of us, man. So that propaganda is real.
Yeah, before we go, man, I just want to say something about being a father, right?
Yeah.
I love my biological dad, man. I love my dad to death. And I was angry at him for a long time until I started getting the understanding and talked to him about how he came up.
Yeah.
He had no blueprint.
Right.
He had no bluprint. He was a dude that was suffering from his own wounds.
They didn't know.
You know, his brothers and sisters getting separated and shuffled across homes, different homes. That's what they would do if the mama didn't have enough money to take care of the kids. They would just put you in foster care.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
They would just put you in foster care. So I had to forgive him because we got a lot of healing to do as black men in this country, man. I think we all suffer from some form of PTSD.
Yeah. And nobody's suffered from what we've suffered from, man. And we're told to get over it. Other groups, man, they couldn't suffer the half of what we suffered, the stuff that we've survived, man. Growing up in these neighborhoods, growing up in the Comptons and places like that, these were like war zones, and that was by design, man. And for cats to come out of that.
slavery.
Yeah, man. that was a societal plantation that they've created. They created those things. They created the economic deprivation and then say, okay, here you go. And by the way, here's some crack. So y'all fight over that. And here's a train full of guns that we're going to leave over here mysteriously, which is what they used to do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
These illegal guns would just pop up in these neighborhoods. So, yeah, a lot of the stuff was orchestrated. And for anybody to come out of that with your right mind, that's a miracle right there.
Well, we have to start, man. That change starts with us, man, as directors. And because me and Eiht, we working on some stuff right now, man. And I felt him when he said, man, if we go do something, I don't want to play the stereotypical dude. You know, I'm a grown man. I don't want to run around with a pistol. So we go have him where he's a football coach.
Yeah.
Doing good because they never show those images on TV. The brothers that do come out of jail and because, you know, we both coach youth football, right? Mm-hmm. And half my staff over in Paramount, man, was former felons and they was out there with their kids, man. Shout out to what Snoop do with the SYFL.
You have to change the dynamic of what was done, you know. Like you said, with your father, a lot of us grew up single moms, you get me? And like you said, the dynamic of what the situations was, we never knew because we don't know the past of what our fathers and grandfathers went through. To be able to have that direction to be better. But you can break that code, you get me? Look at your sons, look at my son, you get me? It'd probably be looked at as if our kids were probably following that negative footsteps because of what we've done. What people look at what I've done, you get me, where I come from, gang banging and selling drugs, and even with the image of who I was.
And now he got a son that's playing college football. How dope is that, man?
Get me? So
that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Just like you said, you have to change the dynamic and of what they tried to put us through as far as taking the dads out of the homes and making women feel like you said, still, I don't even need a motherfucker today. You get me? It's hard to raise a kid.
Yeah.
And especially as a young man, as a single mom, when the influences today that we have, man, it's just crazy. You know, so
and we got to understand, man, how we got here, man. Let's talk about L.A. in particular, man. Look, in the 1960s, Central Avenue, man, you had the Black Panthers, black men who said, hey, we're going to feed these children out here. We're going to have a free breakfast program. We're going to have an education program. We're going to feed these kids. The Panthers with the guns, that wasn't a threat because all they did was change the gun laws. They changed the California gun laws because of the Panthers.
Yeah, that's why these gun laws out here are so rickety now.
They did it because of the Panthers. And the NRA was in on it too. They were like, hey, don't let them niggas have no guns. So that was neutralized. The problem with the Panthers, when you start feeding people, that's nation building. They said, we got to get these niggas out of here. They started shooting up the headquarters of the Panthers. Right after that, that's when the gang started sprouting up because the splintered leadership, it was directionless. These young kids didn't have the Panther programs to go to, so they started to morph into gangs.
Let me ask you this. It's a reparations march coming up, correct?
Yeah, June 15th in Washington, D.C.
June 15th, everybody is in support of reparations. We need to be out there.
Absolutely.
I mean that.
Yes,
I need me
indeed.
some reparations.
Yes, indeed.
Man.
We need, because I really feel like, you know, that's why I get pissed off when people say, well, how did it impact you? Man, do you know how difficult, I'm not supposed to be here.
Real talk. And man, we got so many, out here in L.A., we got so many homeless black people out here, man, it's pathetic. We need to be compensated, man, because that stuff has been orchestrated.
And who was the people, tethers?
Yeah, we call people who are foreigners who try to undermine our movement. We call them tethers. Just because you're a foreigner doesn't make you a tether, but we've called the tethers out because we have a lot of people who would jump up and say, hey, we don't need reparations. And then we'll look in their background and this person's from the Congo somewhere. Like, you're not even qualified to get reparations.
What's the deal right now? You know what I noticed? I told somebody, because I don't like the thing African American. A lot of them don't even like us.
Yeah, we don't like using that term, and there's no disrespect. That term was put on us in 1988 by Jesse Jackson. The Democratic, the Democrats wanted us to be comparable to immigrant groups. We just used to go by black or colored or whatever, but when they got Jesse Jackson to start labeling us African American, that made us comparable to Mexican American, Italian American, Asian American, so that almost made us like immigrants. So whatever we got, all of the other immigrant groups were supposed to get a part of it too, but we have a unique history here because we as foundational black Americans, we built the country. We're the only non-immigrants here. We have a very unique relationship to this land, and that has to be recognized.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I know, I have a lot of family in England, so our family reunions were real interesting. I got to find out. I know I'm from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, and all that. Because I have family in England that didn't even go through that they went straight to England. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a lot, man. We pretty much children with no country.
This is our land. We got to understand that we're not foreigners here. You know, there were black people on this land thousands of years.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
so this is our
saying.
land. Let's be very clear. California was named after a black woman, Queen Califia, all right? That's a mythological Moorish queen that the Spanish used to write books about. There were black Aboriginal people in California, the Mojave people, the Ohlone tribe. You look at pictures of them, they look like African tribes. That's why you don't see too much archaeological work done in North America.
I always wondered that, man, because I always said everybody can't be slaves, man.
Right.
Because you know what I hate
Everybody didn't come over on slave ships.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Think about that.
But think about this, though, too. Think about all the slave ships that got took over.
Right. Many of the pirate ships were former slave ships. That's where the pirates were stealing slave ships. And a lot of the pirates were actually black. But the story of millions of people being shipped over on ships, that wouldn't make any sense because it takes about 3-4 months for a ship to sail back then.
And you talking about right now from then, them rickety ass ships they had back then, man, a lot of them probably
the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, they don't add up.
There were people who were black already here, they just enslaved them here. We got to really look at it from that perspective. There are books by people like von Wutenow, Ivan van Sertima, who talk about the black people who were here thousands of years before Columbus. Again, like I said, they'll do archaeological work in Africa, Asia. You don't see too much archaeological work here because, as our brother James Small says, every time they put a shovel in the ground in North America, you're going to dig up something black. Our DNA is real deeply rooted in North America, man.
All they want to find here are some dinosaurs.
Right. You start, because what happens is, man, they start doing archaeological work and they start finding these Native Americans with all of this African and black DNA. Then they get real quiet about it. They act like, oh, okay, let's not really talk about that. Because we've been here for a long time.
I'll tell you something that really had me laughing, man, and then we go ahead because I know we going over.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I appreciate you being patient.
Yes, indeed.
It was funny. I was in the grocery store with my wife the other day, and I looked in the thing to where they reconstructed this picture of Jesus and said, oh, we know how Jesus looked, and he looked like he was from England some damn where he had long blonde hair, man, and it was just this white dude, man. So we definitely, man, got to fix a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I ain't even go get into that whole thing, you know. But
yeah, because you definitely offend some people.
Yeah, you had somebody pissed off. You know, like, we hate to tell you that you and Eiht done lost y'all deal.
Yeah. You said what, motherfucker? Like, they be on your phone till tomorrow.
Man, I really, man, we really support what you doing, man, and appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
And you dropped a lot of knowledge on here, man.
I got some game from you guys at Eiht, because I'm a huge hip hop fan, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So all of this stuff, I'm just soaking it in.
That's why I was just letting you roll when you had. I said, man, I'll kick back, shoot tonight.
Yeah, so interested. Like I said, we got to let people know, there's other shit that goes on. As far as, even though we represent the streets and we come from whatever, you still got to motherfucking give people some real knowledgeable stuff.
Man, somebody got to be the adults. We can't be on here dissing people and
clowning
stuff.
and dissing all the time.
You know?
And this movie, Microphone Check, it's about the origin of hip hop, particularly in the East Coast, and I want to do a West Coast version of it next, because the history of West Coast hip hop, man, as it ties into the gang culture, Uncle Jam's Army,
all that,
all of that stuff. that has to be told too. That's never been told the way it should be told.
No.
I want to get Eiht in that, and so
we
many
do a
other
lot
people.
of stories where we start off from the Lonzo and the Easy and NWA era, but like you said, it was a lot of shit going on before them, and like you said, that story has to be told about the foundation of West Coast hip hop. Because everybody looks at, of course, we all recognize what New York did for us and East Coast and whatever, but we don't go in depth on those stories about L.A. and West Coast hip hop before the Easy Dr. Dre era. You get me?
Yeah, it's almost like cut off.
Right, and many of the dances came from here, man, that they still do today. The Cass was doing that in the early 70s out here, man. So that has to be told. And also the gang influence.
Definitely.
That's
Well, you know what, man?
instrumental.
I used to pop back in the day, believe it or not. I used to be a locker, and that was my biggest thing, looking at the dudes on the West Coast, seeing the
Don
people from
Campbell
the West
locking
Coast.
those guys.
Yeah, man, they were so fluid with it, man. It was amazing. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing, man. How can the people get in touch with you?
Yo, man, go check out the movie Microphone Check at microphonecheck.com. Check out the Rally for Reparations we got coming up in June. That's Rally, the number 4 Reparations, rallyforreparations.com. And just support all the stuff, man. And y'all follow me on Twitter at Tariq Nasheed.
I would definitely be at the rally.
Yes, sir.
Where's they gonna be at again?
That's going to be Freedom Plaza, Washington, D.C., Saturday, June 15th. And we got Big Daddy Kane performing out there, too.
We should probably organize something out here too, man. We need to, like, really, man, because I'm gonna tell you, if you tell people to show up for some bullshit, they gonna show up for it. Every black person in this country need to be there. They got to jump in cars together and
Carpool up there. Yes, indeed.
and get up there, man. I might organize something myself, man, and get some people out there, man.
Man, I would love
Get
it.
on the bus.
Man, we got homies that got their class license, man. Let's rent a bus, man, and
for
6
sure.
people out there, man.
It's all good.
Yes,
We
indeed.
appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on, fam.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all make sure, man, y'all like, subscribe, leave a comment, and all that other good stuff, man, and we out of here.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Gangster Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes.
If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Gangster Chronicles, this is not your